This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Kreese, Mino, and Mark, bringing you all your Defo news and talk. Welcome to Season 3, The Chaos Era. Now let's start the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 104 of the Crystal Chronicles. I'm your host, Mark, and I'm so glad you're all here so we can gather and talk about the game we all love right off the heels of a Squex community stream with Joshua and Kim and Joshua's cat, whose name what is it? Oh crap, I already forgot. It's it's whatever Japanese for dark brown is. What was that? Mino, do you remember what Joshua's cat's name was?
Was it Chairo? No, Koge.
Like Colgate. So it looked black on the screen, but in fact it was dark brown. So that is the news in Squex. Yes, Squex Glacy, I believe her name is Kim. So and Squex Joshua's name is Joshua. So there you go. Now you've all just behind the scenes of Squex mobile stream. And a lot to talk about tonight, including the TCC Challenge and Extreme Challenge for Jack's event, our upcoming raid event, our current raid event, Dimensions End Entropy Tier 11, and of course, character boards, host discussion, and all your Defo news and talk. So before we start the show, let me introduce my co-host. You know them, you love them. First, his name is Mino Spellgood. Mino, how are you doing?
I'm pass.
All right. Mino got called in for some extra work, so he's a little salty right now. And that leaves us to our other co-host, and his name is Kreese. Kreese, how are you doing?
Much better than Mino, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't even have time to drink yet. I'm not drunk yet, and that's already pissing me off because today was so busy. Side note, because I don't talk about work that much, but apparently things are getting worse in the COVID thing. Like, not better. Honestly, just objectively worse as numbers rise. So I've been flooded because now I guess all medical response they were working Mondays through Fridays, but now we have to stagger all the employees in the county from Sunday to Thursday schedules and Tuesday to Saturday schedules so that there's always 24-hour coverage. I don't know. It's terrible. There's so much work. I keep thinking it's going to get better. It's literally only getting worse. And it didn't help that when I was watching the news on Memorial Day, it just kept showing how all these Americans gathering in like pools, packing pools and like beaches and stuff, and being interviewed and saying, "Oh, I don't know why everyone's so afraid of corona. Like, it's just a little illness, just like the flu. I don't care if I get it." You know, like it's fucking awful.
Yes, we all are still in the midst of our COVID-19 is not away, although my state has been number one in meeting its response, which is good because we're normally only number one in governors in jail and corruption and dead people voting, things like that. So I feel pretty good about that. But yeah, we all do live in this. And so let's, put our masks on metaphorically
and figuratively.
Or
literally, sorry,
well,
not figuratively, literally.
Mine is not within reach, but I have plenty. And let's go to a place where there's no COVID-19, but there is sanctuary keepers and jets and character boards. So let's talk a little bit about some of the news of the day as we hit in the highlights of the Squex community stream. You can still get that Ramza costume if you were just dying for poor boy Ramza. And gems, of course. We did get our community stream rewards, which of course was tickets and armor tokens and gems and all kinds of fun things.
Power Stone.
And the Power Stone, very nice. We are going to be getting our monthly token shop, which is going to be like the Gigantuar token shop. And we had tons of bug fixes, which is good, which means they're doing some work. Lenna's costume is available if you did not get that. That's her kind of original sprite costume. And Ace's alternative school boy costume is all. I have that. I own that one. Is also available. So there are 3 returning costumes if you're a costume collector, but newer. Just a reminder that this may be gigantic co-op that is 3 days from ending as we record this on the 28th of May. But the shop will be open a little bit longer for that. So make sure you get what you want from that shop and make sure you do it for the next 3 days so you get all those tokens. And that's going to be replaced by a new kind of what we would call permanent daily kind of token shop. But it will kind of switch over month by month. But it's going to be something just here on out that you need to get used to. All right, that brings us to the big news, although we were kind of expecting it from the Squex community stream, and that is the implementation of character boards and also a character board enhancement campaign from May 27th, yesterday, till June 8th. Now, this introduced a new type of upgrade to your characters called character boards. To find character boards, if you haven't already gotten in there, you actually go to training boards now. It used to be called summoning boards in your enhancement section. It's crystal strength training boards level up, and that now is both your summon boards and your character boards. Character boards only available for characters that have them. The first batch is basically everyone in the EX token shop: Warrior of Light, Firion, Decil, Pecil, Bartz, Terra, Cloud, Vincent, Zack, Squall, Zidane, Yuna, Tidus, Shantotto, Vaan, Lightning, Serah, Yshtola, Noctis, Ramza, Ace, and Layle. So those are the original 13 EX shop protagonists. You can character board all of them.
23?
23. What did I say? 18?
13.
13, whatever. some number of protagonists. There are even more than 13 games in this franchise.
Yeah.
And so they kind of work like summon boards where you have to unlock them with points. You get points from using playing in missions. So our current raid mission, you can get 5,000 points, and that's all you can get. You cap out at 5,000 per event. And then it costs about 5,000 to fully upgrade somebody. To fully upgrade your character, though, you have to have all of their weapons MLB'd, and I believe you have to have their EX weapon fully realized. So to really get the most of your character boards, you're going to want to do it on purple characters with MLB 15s and MLB 35s, which will be interesting for characters who, we've said in the past, you can skip their 15 because they might get some extra enhancements on that track, which you won't be able to get otherwise. You're not able to technically master them right now because the final 3 treasure nodes are voice lines that you can use in co-op exclusively for your characters, but they have not been implemented because of COVID-19 or because of other reasons they weren't willing to tell us. COVID-19 seems like a good excuse. Either way, they are going to be implemented in the future, and so you will be able to do that. I really had no sense of, I didn't really want to kind of throw my points at anybody, but I did want to kind of see how it worked before we had the show tonight. So I did invest in Yuna because I use Yuna every single day. She's my farmer, and I'm still trying to be able to one-shot that flowered cactuar with her. So not quite there. I went through and it seems really, you can auto it, but you have to auto it at a few times, but it seems pretty straightforward. It gives you about 180 CP worth of passives that you need to choose to equip. 18 passives, they're all 10 CP each. They're significant passives. They do, for Yuna, it's additional Brave damage, it's Brave Overflow, it gives her additional auras, it gives her additional potency increases, attack up, several attack ups, makes her buffs better, her self buffs better, her frame buffs better, but makes her auras better, makes her damage better, makes her potency better. They're not raw stats, they're actually enhancements to either your frame buffs or your actual abilities. So
one thing that I don't know if you mentioned, Mark, you get 150 max CP for mastering a character's character board. So it still consumes more CP than you receive, but you do get a lot of the CP back.
Wait. they're saying in chat, Macnell is fact checking. It gives you more. He's saying it gives you more CP than is required to add all the passives.
It says they give slightly less CP than their passives require, is what I see.
There are 100.
I read that wrong. Okay,
Yeah, there are 180 CP worth of passives, and you get 150 CP added to your character. So it doesn't add up. The points do not have. We have a question in chat. The points do not have an expiration, and I believe the cap for points is it 999,000?
Yeah.
So no one, Black Cloud has told us, we've been talking, and Ian's as well. No one ever caps on character points. There's no reason to hoard them. You get 5,000 for every event. If you want to buy the Mog Pass when that comes out, it's going to go to 10,000. So, and you're going to use them on characters. There's no reason to hoard them. So they don't expire. You can hold on to them if none of these 23 characters are interesting to you. But very likely, none of the other characters coming out this month, except for Arciela and Keese, will have their character boards until...
Oh, it's Kais, right? You told us, Mark?
It is. We literally went through this. It is Kais. Yeah. We can definitively say, even though I just messed it up, it is actually pronounced Kais, not Keese. Kais. That is how they actually say it in the game. We looked that up, and Amidatillion, right? Amidatillion is how they say that. So I obviously did not play that Crystal Chronicles game, but we did look up the cutscenes and watch at least the English version. The Japanese version may be completely different, but Amidatillion and Kais with kind of the A sound. So there you go. Ami or Goldenrod. Layle calls him Goldenrod, so I think that's what I'm going to prefer to go by. But yeah, so Arciela and Kais should get their boards, but yeah. So got a question from Evil Kong. So these points are for character passives. Does it help a lot? Though, do you use it for characters, or are there characters you should mainly use your points for that help a lot? You're basically going to want to use your character boards on characters you are planning to use a lot. So, for this first batch, not a lot of them are kind of front runners because we're not using a lot. Now, Lightning is still really powerful. If you have a purple Lightning, she's a good option. Ramza's a good option as he just got his realization. If you have a favorite, Yuna, Squall, somebody like
Zack,
that, Warrior of Light. But yeah, Zack with his character boards actually kind of, I don't know that he surpasses Snow, but he definitely becomes very good. Y'shtola still is very good. I'm not sure Noctis probably might get a little bit better, but look at the boards, go through them because they're significant. I haven't gone through and look at all of them, but if there's someone you're using in that in that initial group of 23 that you really like, if you really like Ace and you're using them a lot in this raid, use them on Ace. He gets a lot of benefit too. But there are some older characters that you're probably not going to want to use them on, but you don't necessarily need to save them because you're going to get 5,000 more with Prompto's event and probably not going to be able to spend them on anything. You're going to get 5,000 more in Arciela's event and maybe only get to use them on Arciela. You're going to get 5,000 more on the next Lost Chapter. You're going to get 5,000 more on the mission
Dungeon 2 should get 5,000.
And you're going to get 5,000 more on Kais's event. So you're not really going to be able to make mistakes. I think my recommendation is if you're planning to use your character points, use them on a character that you have all the gear for, a character that you have fully realized purple, and use 5,000 points on that character. Don't use a few hundred points here, a few hundred points there. Definitely focus on one character and use all 5,000 on one character that you're planning to use, that you have all the gear for. I think that's going to be the best option here. So, yeah.
To cut in and to just simplify it, I was already going to make this comparison, but you bring up a good point of how to use it. This is basically the next tier of Crystal Awakenings. When this came out in JP, they had the Ope Ope report, which is their version of the live stream, and they said,
which is a lot weirder if you've never watched it.
and basically they said, guys, we're planning something special for Crystal level 80, so we're going to introduce something in place of crystal levels that'll work very similar. That's character boards. I really despise, I see it mentioned in the community a lot. People compare it to summon boards, and even on the official stream, they compared it to summon boards. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Whoever wrote that slide was probably addressing the people in the community who was comparing it, because I think the comparison to summon boards is really, really stupid. Okay, because let's take the stream for example. They're like, here are 2 reasons they're similar to summon boards. You earn and spend points to enhance characters, and the amount obtained varies from quests. Here's how they're not like summon boards. Points are only obtainable during certain events, upper limit of obtainable points. Not all characters' boards are unlocked immediately. All points are part of a shared pool. Books have no effect. Okay, so if you compare it to Crystal Awakenings, all of those points apply. Like it's just the JP literally said this is another form of Crystal Awakening. So it's
Squex Joshua's here, Mino, and he said
we're fighting. Okay.
He writes the slides. But
I'll point out, because Crystal Awakenings, look, high crystals, you earn and spend them to enhance characters, done. Amount obtained varies from quest to quest, done. Points are only obtainable during certain events, done. Upper limit of obtainable points per event for crystals, done. Not all Crystal Awakenings are unlocked immediately. They're rolled out as the events come, done. All points are part of a shared crystal pool. Support items have no effect on crystals. And just like crystals, spending the character enhancement boards, just like Crystal Awakenings, literally prioritize the people you're going to use, right? There's no point in spending any of them on characters you're not actively going to use, because you are going to have a limited amount going forward. They are a soft tuning pass. Hard tuning passes are the weapons, which make the biggest difference every time a new tier of weapon comes out. Soft tuning pads are like the Crystal Awakenings that they give, like Crystal Awakenings gradually gave, say, more auras, bigger stat boosts, AAs, etc. Important little things. Character boards essentially become more and more vital. I think for the first few months, it's mighty passives, basically, and some enhancements to the Brave Plus and HP Plus. Eventually, new characters and moving forward, overflow will be locked to character boards. As in,
there's already overflow on character boards. So, for example, Lightning gets 20% increased overflow on all of her abilities if you fully board her right now.
But yeah, that's true. I believe a lot of new characters don't even get overflow unless you invest in the character boards, like Amita Talion. And then they just released more character boards, or another branch in JP, which turns one of Ramza's abilities into a double from a Brave Plus HP into a double Brave Plus HP.
Yeah, so those are connected to the new weapons, correct?
Yes, the LDs.
LD and BT character boards, right? So, want to shout out Aeonis the Winged for the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you, Ian's, and we love you too. What was I going to say? No, I love Joshua and Glacy, and we love everything that you guys do in the monthly community stream. But the JP version of the stream is real trippy. I mean, I obviously it's a different culture than the one I live in, but there's some weird stuff going on during that show. That's all I'm going to say. If you've never caught that show, it's like it's like watching a game show, like a very strange Japanese game show. So
I think what you're saying is that you want Joshua to cosplay more.
It's all very exciting. I would like those 3 hosts to guest host on one of our mobile streams. Yeah, that is a redundant, very straight. Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway,
it's just like a normal Japanese game show. Yeah.
While Josh is here, I'm not trashing the slides specifically, but the slides did confuse quite a few people in the community we've seen, because we've had a lot of people come and compare it to summon boards and didn't understand why they had like a limited amount to farm per event, or like why stats weren't going up, or why they weren't getting like gems in the board. I don't know. It was a weird comparison, so I just wanted to put the correction out there.
Yeah. Well, it'd be all better if we just get that Mog Pass. So talk to those devs, Joshua, and
Podcast,
let
you know.
us. Joshua is saying they take aspects from both Crystal Awakenings and boards, and I think that's fair. But they are you can only get 5,000 points per event. It costs 5,000 to fully upgrade a character. You need all their weapons. And you definitely want to do it for characters that you're going to use. And they are pretty significant upgrades in the form of passives. So, and CP. Who doesn't love more CP? You don't have to equip those passives. Just take the CP, right? It is nice to have a little bit. Now Yuna is, of course, my highest CP character at what is max CP now, 560. Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. So. All right. Anything else, Kreese? Anything else about summon boards? We need to hit some of the highlights of the campaign itself.
You mean character boards?
Yeah. What was? Yeah.
Fucking Mike.
Yeah, let me just close off with a couple of comments. You should treat these as Crystal Awakenings, so prioritize characters you're going to be using. If you don't need to use them right away, you can save them for a character who will be getting their boards sooner rather than later. I think for now, we can probably expect we'll follow Japan's schedule, where for the first month, the only new character boards that arrived were for new event characters. At the end of the month, we got a huge batch. They got a huge batch of character boards for characters that got their new EX weapons from the past month, and then going forward, I think it was every time an EX Plus was available on a banner, that character in question got their character board. I think that's what I was told. So we should expect them to come frequently. You're not in danger of, if you use them wisely, you're not in danger of running out, but you also don't want to just spend them willy-nilly.
Well, you definitely want to use them on the character you only use to farm crystal quests. So, like I did. So, yeah, good luck to all that. And if you have any questions about, hey, who should I use versus this person or that person, come on to our Discord or just say it in chat right now. And I'm sure there will be people to answer you. There's a lot of smart people in chat right now as we speak. So feel free to, if you have any question, this person versus that person, but go in and look at them because those passives are actually really, really good. During this character board enhancement campaign, there is 3-time support item sales. Thank goodness there is double cycle quests. Now I have fully 70-70'd my entire cast of 124 characters and am catching up on farming some crystals. So thank goodness, and thank you, Squex, for the double cycle quest, because I just can't bring myself to farm crystals outside of the double crystal event. So I'm glad to have it. Oh, we also, do we have the Carbuncle's treasure right now, or are we getting that? That's not live yet, is it?
Oh, Carbuncle's treasure is live, yeah.
Yep, so that is live as well. So you can get some enhancement gear, and maybe that's what I'll do next, is try to get my Sylph and Chocobo up to level 20. I know.
Keep in mind, you got to run at least 10 stages in there to get the Chocobo panel enhancement mission completed.
Yes, and there is a Chocobo panel for the enhancement missions. And that has many different things, like use Cypher, Lenna, 40 co-ops, kill Mind Flayers, Skeletons, Golden Cactars, and do Carbuncle's Treasure. And that gives you free stuff. So make sure you check that out. If you want to find out where all the stuff for that is, you can go to DecidiaInfo.com. That is Macnol's site. And he has a nice little write-up for every Chocobo board. So go check that out. So speaking of Macnol, let's go to our event we talked about last week, Jack's event, The Power of Ignorance, and talk about the Call to Arms, specifically the TCC Challenge and the Extreme
I don't think we talked
Challenge.
about the fight at all.
Oh, we didn't talk. Yeah, so
because it dropped as we were recording. So, Mino, do you want to give an overview of the fight, or should I?
I'd rather you to keep it consistent, but I can if you like.
Yeah, just give me a sec, because I was not ready for this specific fight. If I recall correctly, it's a 2-wave fight. First wave is double Kraken. So if you recall Krakens, they're pretty straightforward. They're weak to lightning. They use some water attacks combined with some melee attacks. Notable things is that they can get very fast if you let them. They can take a lot of turns very quickly, and you just got to be careful of that. This Kraken wave isn't too dangerous from what I recall. They just waste time for the most part. One notable thing is that they can put a blind debuff on target, so watch what debuffs you're getting and make sure that you're not wasting precious abilities on a blinded turn. The real threat is the boss in the second wave, which is called Flutter Jelly. There are 2 of them in the battle. They do not have any elemental resistances, but they are immune to speed down. If I recall correctly, their big annoyance is that they toss a couple debuffs around. The big one is that they can apply turn rate down to your party. They can remove all debuffs on them, including frame debuffs. So you got to watch out for your debuffs getting wiped off them at an inopportune time. Um, what else am I missing, Mino, for the big things there? Can you
I'm
recall?
trying to. There was some debuff. Maybe I'm thinking about the turn rate down one, but there was some debuff that was annoying. All I remember of the fight was that both waves acted very, very fast. So you wanted, fast teams or turn manipulation or delays. That's what was popular.
Yeah, I think the way I got around most of this was that I just kept debuffs on them,
Sorry,
and I
chat.
refreshed pretty frequently.
I'm sorry, chat was bringing up. It's the concentration thing.
Yeah,
where they
concentrate.
And then they're
to take...
immune to some things until it's broken.
They're immune
and then
to delay until you break the concentration.
You have to act
and
3
then
turns.
they either dispelled your buffs or cleanse themselves. I don't remember because it's been a week already.
If you let them do their big dangerous recharge attack, I think it is, or their big dangerous spinning blades attack while they're concentrating, it removes all debuffs on them. So
cleanse.
You really want to break that as fast as possible. The way you break the concentration is by just taking actions. So you got to take actions. So basically, if you let them go too often or you let them break you, you'll be taking more actions, you'll be taking less actions, and they can become very dangerous.
So you want to bring characters that can take multiple turns.
Yeah, nonstop brave plus HP attacks too, I would think.
Marcelino's reminding us that AAs are also helpful in that if you want to get off an extra turn there, and free turns do. So I know I brought Iggy and Ultimecia and Snow, and didn't seem too bad. What did you guys bring before we get to the TCC challenge?
Snow, Yang, and Aerith.
Oh, Yang. Yeah.
I'm trying to make them work.
Double checking because I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's been a few
I used Hope, Snow, and Caius, so I basically loaded them up with debuffs and refreshed frequently.
Yeah. All right. Well, Macnol at DecidiaInfo.com does the call to arms, and there were a lot of submissions to the call to arms, and so we did a TCC challenge, which you are all familiar with. The TCC challenge was, if you're not familiar with the TCC challenge, we kind of do this as a fun thing in addition to the regular event to make it a little bit more challenging. So we banned all the synergy characters, Aranea. So the synergy characters would be Iggy, Ramza, Jack, and Sync. And then we, in addition to that, banned Galuf, Zack, Snow, Penelo, Aerith, Hope, Edge, Leo, and Aranea, friend Aranea. And we got 68 clears with that restrictive list. Let me jump to my thing. We're going to, just because I have 85 names to read, we are not going to read them all from this point forward. If we get this many submissions, thank you all. I know a lot of you are enjoying it and looking forward to it. So I've put all of your names, everyone who's done the TCC challenge. All your names are up there. If you are listening on the podcast, go to Decidia Info and check out all the people who did that. Watch some of their videos, subscribe to their YouTube channels, give them some love, especially if you see some ones that you think are particularly inventive. So innovative, how about that? Or imaginative. But so that's not the only thing we did. We also did an extreme challenge that was a little different. So this extreme challenge banned all the same characters, but also had no friend unit and you had to kill one of the flutter jellies before the other one hit 80% HP and then complete the fight. So we made it as complicated as possible. All those characters were banned. You couldn't bring a friend unit, and you had to kill one completely before the other one went below 80%. So you had to deal with the enraged jelly for the rest of the fight. And a whole bunch of you, I think 18 of you, still beat it without much problem. So it may not have been the most challenging of the chaos fights we've had. Final ASIM is asking, whose idea was it to add this special mission? Are you angry about it, or do you like it? Because that will change who I. I'm joking. We have a group that works on it together, but I do actually believe that particular idea was Macnol's. So okay, you like it. So
you were gonna call him out. I was just gonna not mention names.
No, I think that was Macnol came up and Final ASIM is saying I liked it. So give Macnol the credit there. If you hated it, it was Mino's idea.
Yeah, it was.
But thank you all for participating. It's really fun. I enjoy more than even watching the videos. I like, and I certainly did not watch all 85 videos. I enjoy listening to you guys in the Discord kind of talk about strategy and do all those kind of things. So I'm not sure that we're going to have the same kind of turnout for this current chaos, because it's a little bit scarier, but we'll see. So if you like the TCC challenge and you like to have a little bit more fun in this kind of chaos era where we have so many options and so much utility and so many characters, and now boards are going to make those characters even better. So there's just so many different ways to approach a fight that I know a lot of you enjoy and are having fun. So thank you all. Thank you, Macnol. Check out DecidiaInfo.com. It is just a great resource as well as the Tom Berry Troop website, tomberrytroop.com. So back to the normal programming. We move from Jack's event to our current event, and I move back to my outline. The raid event, Wings at the Ready. So this is a raid event just like many raid events we've had. We all have this kind of collective pool where we have to fight this boss so many times. We get community points and individual points. Your individual points ramp up till you get, I think, 2 million? Is that the max?
It goes past 2 million. There's
4 million.
5-star upgrade materials if you go beyond 2 million.
Okay, so you have individual points for running the co-ops, and then your points add to the entire points, and you have to kill the boss so many times globally, and we get rewards for that. That also brings us 2 banners with 4 EXs between them. One banner has 2 new realizations with 2 reworks. Lenna got a rework and an EX realization. Cypher got a rework, got his he didn't have an EX, correct?
He did not have an EX before this event.
So he got his rework, his EX, and his EX realization. So let's talk about those 2 characters first. And let's start with Lenna. So Kreese, do you want to tell us a little bit about what Lenna got?
Yeah, Lenna got some nice quality of life changes with her rework. Nothing substantial, but a lot of nice stuff. Rapid Fire now always dumps Brave, not only after Mastered version. I think the Int Brave down is now applied from Rapid Fire base and plus, so there's a bit more parity between the Mastered and non-Mastered versions. Her self-generic buffs last longer. Windrake Arrow now gives a longer duration for Windrake's Ward. It now does 2 Brave hits for both the basic and the Mastered version. Lenna's Brave Plus now has a couple extra Brave hits on it. Nothing, as I said, nothing huge, just some nice quality of life changes. And it's a similar story for her EX ability, Brave Phoenix, with its realization. Brave Phoenix now hits with more Brave hits. It has greater overflow, hits harder. She gets a nice attack and max Brave self bonus. She starts with most of her buffs up. The only thing she doesn't start up is Windrake's Ward, but she also gets a free ability use and instant turn rate on her first turn. And her Princess of Tycoon buff from Brave Phoenix starts to last longer. If you have to fully realize her for this, but if you do fully realize her, she gets access to an HP plus, and Brave Phoenix will now heal the party based on HP damage dealt. So she does get a little bit of even more healing beyond the crazy amount of healing she already had. A couple things to note is that her buff, Windrake's Ward, does not grant 100% debuff evasion unless you use the mastered version. So be careful if you use just the basic version at the beginning of combat. You are still potentially vulnerable to getting debuffs inflicted on you. But once you use the mastered version, Windrake Arrow Plus, Windrake's Ward will avoid all debuffs. Oh, and one last thing, her EX realization adds Party Brave Overflow stolen to her EX buff Princess of Tycoon. In general, they're all nice things. They don't turn her into the goddess she was, like she was back in the Cosmos era, but it brings her up to par with other supports. One of her big bonuses over most recent supports we've seen, not all supports, but most supports we've seen, is that she does not occupy a lot of party brave slots, buff slots, not party brave slots, party buff slots. So she fits in a lot better with characters that like to give themselves a lot of buffs. Um, Keep that in mind. I know that some people have had issues with, for example, Penelo or Hope chewing up buff slots, Beatrix chewing up buff slots, and Lenna plays nicer with characters who need to use a lot of buffs. Mino, what are your thoughts on Lenna?
Very, very short tangent before I talk about Lenna is I feel like I don't know if we've talked about this as hosts, but I've been discussing it with content creators in Discord. But I feel like this is the start. These next 2.5 months are my ideal balance of Gotcha and DFFOO state. For the next 2 months, there are so many duplicate characters that do the same role redundantly and equally well that you can pull any combination of, say, DPS, buffer, healer, or whatever you like, and you can make it work all the way until BTLD. Like, this is the perfect state where we just got a little bump in content and things are hitting a little harder, as we'll talk about when we get to the fight, right? Like, you have a much easier time if you're using synergy or more current characters. You need more recent characters, but once you get it, there are a lot of solutions. That being said, I mean, really quickly, like, out of the 8 to 10 characters that get upgrades in the next 2 months, 6 of them are healers. You've got like 4 or 5 debuffers, DPS, all do about the same damage. You can literally pull any combination. And a lot of JP players, of course, everyone says these were, insane 2 months where every character looks good, every character looks OP. And it's true because they're all balanced around the same power level. And you can throw a rock and pick like 4 or 5 random characters and probably make it to LDBT with any combination. And a lot of people have. I've seen people make it through without any of several of these characters. That being said, it's hard to trash any character in the next 2 months. And I feel like I can just say, this character does this and this role, and they have 1 or 2 unique gimmicks. Pick them if it is your style. So Lenna fulfills the battery/healing role. If you need a healer at all, you need a buffer at all. To follow up what Kreese was saying, minimal buff slots taken is really good. 2 sources of brave regen and HP regen, meaning even if they have so many framed buffs, they're pushing everything off. The 1 framed buff on herself, Princess of Tycoon, will always still give them some source of brave and HP regen. Just like all the other.
Drake's Ward is also framed, and that still provides the rest of the regen and debuff evasion. Really, it's a huge chunk of brave regen for the party, taking a single buff slot on her allies.
Right. And she's my ideal type of healer slot character. A lot of the healers she's the only healer, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, chat, that dumps brave on both of her skills. A lot of them, like Hope or Aerith or Ishtola, they all have defensive abilities that battery the whole party, but then, keep the battery. But Lenna dumps on both. So I do like that. I love the long regens. Played right, they're up 24/7. They never fall off. And I like the gradual regens because instead of spending turns to heal, it'll be taken care of as long as you play smart, kept the target broken, play right. The party will take care of itself. I will say that her regens are not as potent as I'd like outside of synergy. They're actually pretty tame compared to a lot of other supports and batteries we've been getting recently. But the fact that they keep coming and they're constant means I never have to really worry about it or worry
You
about
can also stack Lenna's Brave regens with other sources of Brave regen if you want. For example,
Right.
she stacks perfectly with Lightning's regen or Ramza's regen.
So taking aside the things that every other healer / support is getting in these next 2 months, everyone's getting the 20% overflow basically on every support basically. Does she heal enough to get through all the fights in the next 2.5 months? Yes. Does she battery well enough for it? Yes. Are there people who are going to do it better or worse? Yes. But the point is, if you need a battery, healer, or overflow bot, she fulfills it. You would pick her if you like debuff immunity. She is the most updated debuff immunity character. That is a thing I do like, so I don't have to deal with bullshit debuffs. I think that's up a lot of people's alleys as well. I mentioned the regens, meaning very low maintenance. Just play her as normal, and all the healing and batterying takes place passively. But don't expect her to be filling up people's braves on her own like she used to do in the past era. The int brave down is a nice touch as well. And the random hits actually benefit from General Leo's debuff for hitting weakness. So that is very interesting. Both of her abilities, both of her normal abilities benefit off of General Leo, who again also brings his own Brave regen and HP regen to the party. So I do think she has a lot of utility. I 3-3'd her. I really like her, but I have seen a lot of complaints, and I don't blame you. The regen potencies are lower than people are used to. A lot of people like the recent burst batteries and heals we've been getting with Aerith and Hope, where they just have to cast a skill and it fills up most of the Brave for the party. And also, not everyone likes to be patient and wait for the trickle healing, but that is my preferred playstyle. So if any of these sound interesting to you, Lenna is your go-to for her gimmicks. If they don't, we've got 5 more healers coming in the next 4 weeks, so don't feel pressured to. Mark, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I have Lenna's kit. I had her early on. I realized I'm not going to invest any ingots. I think if you really want to make her a primary support and healer, you need to fully realize her. Without that, her healing is not going to really keep up. But I brought her to Dimensions End tier, whatever tier we're on, 10 or 11. I don't know. What tier 11. Are we on? 11. Yeah, so I brought her to that one would just realize I didn't even need to bring her with the 2 other characters I brought, right? But she did, make the fight that much easier, just not having to worry about the debuffs. But her auras are not as high as some of the other supports we're going to see here in a little bit. And her number of skills is somewhat problematic if you are just hitting buttons. Now, her HP plus her HP plus, is it just plus? When she 3-3s does help her a little bit, but I don't know that she's going to be kind of the top or strongest, but I think the points she made are good. But I think she kind of takes second fiddle to some of the other supports we've seen recently. In terms of Penelo, Hope, and what we're going to see in Arceala and Elfanaut, especially this month. So that being said, if you already have her, you're probably going to use her because why not? She's a great support. She does her job well. The
debuff evasion is definitely the best thing.
100% debuff evasion.
I had to purple her because I skipped the last couple debuff dealing with characters, so it was a no-brainer for me to fully realize her.
Yeah, so in terms of debuff evasion, currently we're talking about Ignis, Selfie, and her. Are they the only supports that...
I'm also piling Yuna in there because she can the whole party, and Yuffie as a safety net because she can dispel the party too.
If you're missing somebody to kind of prevent that, it's certainly going to be helpful. You definitely want that in your kit moving forward, especially if you're a newer player. That being said, there are other characters that are going to be able to do it. But she's pretty solid at what she does. But I think this banner is really going to be the last. This banner and the next banner are really going to be the last two good banners, but not great banners. And then we're going to just we're just going to hit like 8 consecutive weeks of just amazing banners with terribly powerful characters. Not that this banner's not good and the next banner's not good. They both are actually good, but
I actually think there's someone who can heal on just about every banner this month.
Yeah, there's so much support, so much healing, so much utility, so much damage. It's just ridiculous.
We counted sort of, or I counted sort of. There's 6 to 7 healers in the next 2 months. There's 3 enchant imperilers. There are a handful, 5 to 7 just pure DPS characters that all they bring is DPS. You've got debuff specialists. There's about 4. You want to count Kefka on there. You want pure buffers that just raise every stat in the party. There's about 5. You've got like Saz coming. You've got Afmao coming. You've got Alphino coming. Like literally, that I'm saying, like, I feel like this is the best balanced 2.5 months you can have. You can pick. That's why I'm saying I'm not going to trash any characters until the brave damage reduction gets in. Every DPS in here does comparable damage and can clear all content until brave reduction kicks in. Doesn't matter if you have Jack, Cloud of Darkness, Cypher, Ida. They all hit 9999s on all their hits for most of the content until the power creep of brave damage reduction. Same with the healers. They'll all get you through. To address chat, people are saying, well, what about RCL? Is she head and shoulders above others? Yeah, she has an edge, but the point is you don't need to pull her to. There have been times in this game where a handful of characters were needed to get through all of the content very, very comfortably.
Like this character that we're talking about right now originally.
Yeah. And Ultimecia, Warrior of Light and Cosmos, Noctis. There were always the balance is always back and forth because there were always if you have these 5 characters or 4 characters, you can get through all of the fighting Cosmos. That's it, plain and simple. And then there are way less good characters. And then every banner, we always talked about winners and losers, but these next 2.5 months, literally pull fucking anybody. You're not going to be stopped. And that's why I'm like, I can't trash any character. And for here on out, for now, I'll just say, pull this character if you like this gimmick. And like Mark was saying, oh, she's not the best, but I'm saying, but if you like her gimmick of debuff immunity, this is the healer you go for, right? Over the other healers. And
in the next couple of months, she is the one that's going to have the debuff evasion. That's for sure. The thing that
the next debuff evasion character that a couple people mentioned is Afmao on her last chapter in about a month.
I forget.
Month and a half.
Debuff evasion.
Like I said,
she's really good.
There's so much redundancy. So much redundancy in these next 2.5 months. Pull anybody. So even debuff evasion, Lenna's not.
Did you mention that Lenna, one of her strengths too, is that she is all ranged? Many of our supports are magic based, so she is only.
That is a really good point. Lenna is a pure ranged damage type, so she doesn't have to worry about mixed damage types or magic, and that is a benefit that is relatively unique for her. I don't know how many other supports we've had either recently or in the future that are ranged. Most fall into the magic or melee categories.
Yeah, that's true. And then I think Lenna heals a damn good sight over. Afmao doesn't. No, she heals a little bit.
Afmao gets healing, I believe, with her EX and EX realization.
A little bit. They're minimal healing, but right. Basically, pick the style you like going forward. I really think this, 2.5 months, just pick whatever flavor you like, and you'll be fine. And Mac note, we don't have tanks in these next 2 months, right? Well, we just got Snow, and Zack just got his character boards. I'm gonna count those 2 tanks as pick one or the other, and they'll get you through it all.
And Warrior of Light just got his, so I mean, you have 3 viable tanks, and not that Galif, Celeste, Bosch are not viable. Edge, those characters are.
Galif is still dominating the call to arms threads.
still viable. The thing that I'm concerned about because of what you just said, where just pull whatever you want, and every single character is going to be hyped. I watched content creators this week try to not hype this banner just because they know the next like 8 banners are amazing. That's going to happen, and then immediately we're going to get a new type of weapon introduced, and people and even harder, with 2 new types of weapons, and even harder to get those weapons. So I saw this thing on one of the bigger Facebook groups about, how many gems do you have going in, what's your stash going into this? And, on our Discord, we have a lot of people who are hoarders and who do have well over 1.5 million gems saved. But I think the vast majority of people don't have 1 pity worth of gems. A lot of our listeners probably do, but the vast majority of players don't. And if you get hyped about every single thing and pull on every single thing, you're going to go into a new era with new weapons, with characters that you do really want, characters that you probably do actually need, and you're not going to have any resources. So it's going to be a tough couple months in terms of really picking and choosing who do I really want to invest in, versus, not necessarily who do I need, because you could probably just, power through with the characters you already have. Very truthfully, there's only a couple characters, there's only a couple fights that are really going to trip you up, even though they're not easy fights moving forward. We have enough characters that they're not going to be too challenging. That being said, there's a lot of good characters. So
to follow up, I was going to say, I forgot to mention when we were talking about balance of the fights, I think everything in these 2.5 months for DFFOO is perfect balance, because even the fights, again, they're punishing if you're not pulling recent characters. If you're relying on meta from 3-4 months ago, it's not going to cut it. These fights are starting to get more and more punishing when it comes to dealing out damage, DPS checks, etc. But it's very forgiving if you are pulling recent characters. So it feels like as long as you pull a decent team comp within these next 2.5 months, you're going to make it to the next level of power creep. And while you said you're right, all characters shouldn't be hyped equally, pulling what you need, blah, blah, blah. You don't need more than 1 healer in these next 2 months. 2 months is 10 chaos fights, tops. 12 if you want to leak into 2.5 months. You do not need 4 healers for 12 fights, 4 different healers for 12 fights, when one of the healers can take care of all 12 fights, etc. So I do think every character is awesome, but do choose in your preference. If you want to have some resources going into LDBT, at least be smarter about pulling redundant roles. You don't need that many DPS. You don't need Cypher plus Jack plus Cloud of Darkness
plus Pronto,
plus Ida, or you don't need Freya plus Raijin plus Aphmau plus Air. There's so many healers. Jesus Christ, there's so many healers. Or you don't need Cypher on top of Kefka on top of Prompto for debuffers, or you don't need Alphino and Saz and Aphmau, etc. Like, there's just so many people who do the same fucking thing. Like, show some restraint, because LDPD is a real drain. Once that banner drops, that's a 200k gem pity if you really want one character's everything. Think about that. Okay, but that's all I have to say. Yeah.
So there's another character on this banner who we've not talked about yet. He is from Final Fantasy VIII, and he's disciplinary committee chairperson. It's hard work being on the disciplinary committee. So, Chris, do you want to talk about Cypher and what he got with all his new stuff?
Yeah, so Cypher has not been touched since his 60 Awakening, other than to get a 70 Awakening that changed nothing about his kit. So he got a pretty sizable change. He gets an extra ability use of his first skill, No Mercy. Both of his abilities get a large number of Brave hits now. No Mercy's up to 4 AoE Brave hits. Bloodfest is 5 AoE Brave hits. both abilities get increased overflow. In the case of No Mercy, it's 150% overflow, and No Mercy still does a single target HP hit, but now it does 50% HP splash damage. Bloodfest now has 180% overflow, does split damage. Both abilities will apply his unique framed buff, Sorceress's Knight, which he wants to get up as soon as possible because it gets him 100% debuff success rate on his skills. Because remember, No Mercy and Bloodfest do not have 100% chance to guarantee their debuffs until Sorceress's Knight is up. His HP Plus now has an AoE Brave hit associated with it before it does split HP damage. Basically, everything Cypher does now is AoE Brave hits and AoE HP damage in some form. So that's really nice. His EX ability, which is brand new, is Demon Slice X. It's similar to No Mercy, more brave hits, has some overflow, deals 50% HP splash damage, single target HP hit. Unique things about it: number one, it gives him a new unique frame buff called Young Revolutionary, which increases his granted buffs, his self buffs, by 2 turns when they're applied. He gets a little bit of attack, but the big thing is that he gets the brave damage amplification based on debuffs on a target, a lot like a lot of other popular debuffers. And the other big thing he gets is a unique debuff called Scar of Destruction, which has a 1-turn duration. It has a small speed down component. The big thing it does is that the enemy on its turn, while that debuff is active, will deal 0 brave damage with its attacks. So it's really strong for shutting down an enemy's turn. And it's on a slow recast. That turns out to be if Cypher uses 3 abilities, he gets Demon Slice X up again. Obviously, because he doesn't have any ability refresh, and I'll get to this once with his realization, he has to sprinkle in his HP pluses and Brave pluses. He can't just spam abilities all day long. His EX realization makes Demon Slice hit harder. If you fully realize it, in fact, it becomes 2 AoE Brave plus single target HP attacks. He gets access to a stronger Brave plus plus, a stronger HP plus plus, which just add on extra Brave hits and overflow. And he starts fights with his unique buff Sorceress's Knight active and a fully charged EX gauge. So keep that in mind. Cypher is primarily an AoE damage dealer that relies on applying debuffs to deal more damage. He gets damage amplification, weakness damage, by hitting targets that are currently debuffed. All of his skills apply debuffs. A note that Cypher, unlike most debuffers, doesn't just throw a large number of debuffs in a single ability. Instead, each of his abilities applies a different debuff, including his additional ability, which applies a separate unique debuff compared to his other abilities. So in total, he can apply 4 debuffs, but he will not be applying them in a single turn. Cypher is a lot stronger now. He definitely can feel that niche for you if you are looking for range damage that can deal a lot of AoE HP damage. He's solid. I've seen him in the co-ops. I have his EX, though I did not realize it as of now. I might realize it later. I'm going to see how my polls go later this month. But he's a very strong character who can fill a niche if you need range damage, debuffing, or you need a gimmick where you can shut down a boss's turn every once in a while. Mino, I'm sure you have some thoughts to say on Cypher.
Not too much, honestly. He is a character I actually wanted, but not bad enough to pity. Unfortunately, I have every weapon for every character on both of these raid banners except for Cypher EX. That finally convinced me it was not worth throwing gems at, even though I really wanted it, because just holy crap, I'm chasing literally one weapon. But I really like his style. I like the kit. I did refer to Black Cloud for a lot of opinions because Black Cloud likes the character so much. I do too. Style-wise, animation, voice lines, that he pulled him on JP and GL to play him twice. And the takeaway is, again, there's not too much to say, is that Cypher is a very viable DPS. He's going to take care of all your DPS needs moving forward for this period. The notable gimmicks he has is obviously a slightly more AoE specialty. Even more specifically, he likes having multiple targets up but burning down one person. So like someone like Sync, who doesn't specialize in three boss waves, a two boss wave would be perfect for Cypher because he's getting those extra brave hits off but burning down one most of the time. Of course, he has some splash. Of course, he has 100% on his EX, but basically you want to keep people up so you can keep doing maximum damage to one target. He has the second strongest max brave down in the game at 40%, right, Kreese? Do you have the info?
Sorry, what did you ask?
Max brave down potency on Cypher.
I am not sure if it is the strongest or not.
It's the second strongest. We did the math on that. I just don't remember the exact number. Serah has the strongest, I think. And Cypher ties with 40%. Thank you, Chad is referring. 40%. And Serah's is the strongest. I don't know the potency of that, but I do remember Cypher's tied with somebody to be the second strongest at 40%. 40% max brave down is significant. It is AoE if you really like that. Of course, if you like playing with debuffers, Cypher activates the...
Serah's is minus 50%.
Yes.
And it gets stronger if you character board Serah.
Yes.
It becomes minus 60%. So just keep that in mind.
Right. So Cypher's gimmicks works very, very well with debuffers. He will be hitting cap for the next 2.5 months as long as you're playing with debuffers. There's a lot of good debuffers coming up too, like Kefka. He AoE specialty, and of course his EX gimmick, which is very fun because we already have, I think, a character or two that can reduce HP damage coming into 0, but he reduces brave damage coming in at 0, which is just fun to play with. Similar in concept, but it means not taking any breaks, and it means people can't just wake up out of break to deal damage to you unless they're self-batterying. So, if these sound up your alley, then Cypher's the DPS for you.
Well, you're
Masalotto wanted me to correct that if you fully realize Cypher's EX weapon, it deals 100% HP splash damage twice. So he does a lot of HP splash damage on his EX. If
his fully realized EX is really nice. I mean, the animation's really cool, but the damage it's there. It's really nice. Yeah, Mino, you're being awful nice tonight. Was there some other character you want to shit on? Ferris or who else was on this banner? Ace.
Like I said, this is the ideal balance state of DFFOO. And did we touch on this last week? Because I remember at least in our own channels we ranted about it. Basically, like, man, I hate when I hate garbage time, and I'm gonna bitch so much about LDBT garbage time. But the lead up into that, we have a very, very nice 2.5 months where everyone is pretty much equal power level, and there's so many redundant roles. There's never been a time where there's literally 4 copies minimum of every role coming out in the span of 2 months. Like, this is the best release cycle. Content is balanced well, because as long as you're pulling recently, you'll have a good time. But the power creep is enough that it shuts out older characters, letting the newer characters shine. This is just a very good 2.5 months. So I'm probably not going to be shitting on anyone, honestly, moving forward.
Okay, everyone in chat is saying I'm wrong, and it's actually just 100% HP splash damage on the EX. It's just executed at the end.
Right. If I remember correctly, chat, I believe he has 2 HP dumps, 2 brave dumps. The first one is single target. It's AoE brave, single target HP. And then the second one is AoE brave, 100% AoE. So it still means all of his attacks still do more damage to a single target, but benefit off AoE brave hits. Yes, people in chat are confirming that I am correct.
It looks impressive, regardless of what it does. And if you like Cypher, you're probably not going to be disappointed in this kit. And if you are missing both Cypher and Lenna and looking for those arts in your roster, not a terrible banner. But as we've said, we're on the heels of a whole bunch of not terrible banners. So good luck to all of you who pulled, and I know many of you did. So that brings us to... Oh, I wanted to mention that Jin Lee, our friend Jin Lee, on YouTube. He is Jin Lee on YouTube. Did a how to play Lenna and Cypher video, so check that out. Fun and good, always very informative there. Podcast polls.
Did we mention that it's Ace and Ferris on the other banner with their EX
Yep,
weapons?
other banners.
We did not, but there we go.
Ace and Ferris, they're a little bit dated, but they still do their job, so I don't know that you're going to go out of your way to pull on them, given, there's other banners to pull on, and Cypher, Cypher is probably a better debuffer and damage dealer than both Ace and Ferris combined. I have Ace and Ferris purple, by the way, and then RCL is coming to Dispel here in a little bit, so... probably not going to pull on that as they're a little bit older, but still good if you have them. And I've been using both of them on the raid effectively. So as for the podcast polls, we're kind of in that time. Only 2 people willing to pity, 4 people willing to gem, 38 using tickets, and 28 skipping completely. Make sure you can always go to podcast polls on our Discord under podcast and submit your podcast. And thank you, J.A and Macnol and Quetz for doing these for us. Let me see, where is it? Yes, for Cypher, it was 5 keeping it at EX, 6 realizing it, and 14 fully realizing him, and a little bit different for Lenna. 1 keeping it EX, 13 realizing it, 2 using 1 ingot, 1 or none using 2, and 31 fully realizing her. A lot of people fully realizing her. On the other banner, actually 1 person willing to pity, 1 person using gems, 4 people using tickets, and 62 skipping. Of the people who had...
Pity the person who said they were going to pity and gem this banner or a troll.
Oh, okay. So... I'm not sure, in terms of people using ingots, we've already had those characters available, so you probably have them purple if you are planning to purple them at all. So, yeah. So we move from the podcast polls to the chaos fight. Let's talk, remember this is a raid event, so there is a level 70, level 100, and level 150 Cosmos co-op with the characters who aren't particularly overpowered, Ferris and Ace. You can solo the co-op. I did my booked Lenna and my purple Ace and purple Ferris and was able to solo the co-op fine with those 3 synergy characters. I'm sure if you have purple Lenna and Cypher, that's much, much easier. I don't know about the other 2 schmucks on that banner, but who are they? Fang and who else is on here?
Realm
is the last
okay,
one.
yeah, I've seen some people use Realm. Actually playing random co-ops, I usually don't do that with Cosmos, but I have been. And besides the 1 person who trolled and switched from Lenna to Ace at the last minute and then spammed I'm out of here and then didn't do anything for however long it takes to disconnect. Besides that, the co-ops have gone pretty well. You just have to be a little bit careful. So let's talk about the chaos fight, and then obviously most of the things that apply to that will apply to the Cosmos raid as well. So the Kreese, do you want to take us through the chaos fight, the mechanic, the boss fight?
Okay, it is a 1-stage chaos fight where you fight a keeper and a Jecht mannequin. And honestly, the Jecht mannequin is probably the most cancerous thing about this chaos fight, in my opinion, just off the bat.
Yeah, he's rough. He can he gets his consecutive turns if he breaks you, and he can use them well and kill you real fast. And gives himself some nice buffs along the way. So he's the real deal.
Ridiculously fast too, and he has his passive equipped, where after he dumps his brave, his turn rate goes through the roof. So he gets ridiculously fast, and he can take turns really quick. He's really just an evil little bugger. Advantage is you can kill him and he will not be revived, so you do not need to worry about Sanctuary Keeper reviving him if you decide to kill him first. first, which is what I ended up doing.
Oh, I
The
thought
Sanctuary
he
Keeper
did get
itself,
revived. He doesn't get revived?
I killed Jecht relatively fast when the Sanctuary Keeper, I think, was at about 40% health, and in the remaining percentage of health, the Sanctuary Keeper never revived him for me. And other people are saying that they have not seen Jecht get revived either, so he does not get revived.
Well, who the hell told us that Jecht gets revived? That would have made the
I've
fight a
looked at
lot
the Sanctuary
easier.
Keeper's ability list, and I did not notice it saying anything about a revive. That's when I decided to just burn Jecht down in my Chaos fight.
Oh my god, I was avoiding Jecht like the plague
Yeah,
because
me
I
too.
also heard he revived. That made the fight so much harder for me. Well, not when I say so much, well, we'll get to it when we... But holy shit, killing him first would have been so much easier.
Okay,
Wow.
Sanctuary Keeper absorbs fire, ice, and holy, so be careful who you bring. Do not bring someone such as Yuri or Paladin Cecil or Papa Limo, because they are going to get locked out. I use Snow. I think a bunch of other people use Snow because he's not very reliant on his Frost Strike. You can work around it. But be careful. Don't bring, for example, Ifrit or Shiva summon. That's just going to waste your summon ability. Big things that the boss does. Boss does not care if you have 100% evade chance. It does not care if you take 0 brave damage. It will still break you. Things to note, it has a recast ability known as Photon Wings, where it reduces Brave based on target's max HP, increases Brave based on the reduced Brave, does a group magic HP attack that is guaranteed to hit. You cannot dodge it. And it will inflict stop and blind on targets. So be careful of that. Stop means you lose turns. Blind means you can't hit if you do take turns. It also has an ability called Verse Shot, which will break the target even if they take 0 damage. I know that because my Snow is getting broken a lot. It's relatively fast, not super duper fast, like not Jecht fast, but it can still take turns relatively quickly. Keep that in mind. And the last thing it does is that it can take multiple turns in a row. I saw it go from a break with Verse Shots to a tail sweep on Snow a couple times. You got to be careful of that. The big notable thing for that Photon Wings recast ability, be careful using Jack for this. Do not use Jack's EX going into Photon Wings because Photon Wings would kill Jack. Obviously, because this boss likes to inflict debuffs, I didn't mention them all. He also can apply Poison, Sap, and Defense Down. And also, it will use Curaga on itself twice during the fight. When it does Curaga, it also applies an HP regen buff to itself, which you can either push off with debuffs or dispel with a Dispeller. Be careful. In general, this guy he just cycles through his abilities pretty quickly. From what I could see, he did a lot of actions. He did a lot of HP damage. You really cannot avoid the HP damage. You need to bring a strong healer. Ideally, you want to bring debuff evasion. So, for example, bring Ignis, bring Lenna. Obviously, Lenna because she's synergy. If Jecht will use his abilities, they work exactly like 35 CP Jecht without awakening passives. So, Beast Rush can become Beast Rush Plus if Jecht has enough Brave going into the attack. Jecht Slash can become Jecht Slash Plus if he has enough Brave going into the attack. Be careful of that. He applies a lot of buffs to himself, so if you want to, you can try pushing those off with buffs. He will hurt if you let him stay buffed up and you let him take turns. In general, strategy is you can either burn them down at the same time. You can focus Jecht first. He has a lot less health than the Sanctuary Keeper, and he's a lot faster and can take turns like a monster. So my strategy was I burned them down about evenly until I got to about 50% health, and then I just killed Jecht and then focused exclusively on the Sanctuary Keeper. I'm assuming that's a similar strategy to what Mino and Mark did, but we'll hear from them in a sec. I think this fight is going to turn out to be somewhat restrictive for most people because, as I said, the debuffs are obnoxious. The healing demand is relatively high for this. It's bursts of healing you need. You don't need just constant healing, but there will be periods where you just lose half your HP from the recast ability, and then you have to get it back before the boss acts again. So, Mino, what thoughts do you have on the boss that I might have missed?
So this and tier 11 are very similar. It seemed like it is a tough fight, but anyone who's been keeping their roster up to date had no problems with it. I had my team plan for tier 11 that I brought right into this one after, because I didn't do any reading or any prep, and I was lazy. It was Lenna, Ramza, and Snow. And then when he started absorbing ice, I was like, oh shit, maybe I should switch Snow out and redo this. But I was too lazy, so I played it through. And Snow was doing not great damage, but he still somehow got through without touching his S2 at all. I think I used his S2 on Jecht once or twice, but he
I
got through.
used Frost Strike like 2 or 3 times on Jecht,
Yeah.
and then I think I used it once during Summon on the Sanctuary Keeper to unbreak it so the next person can break.
Right.
I used
And you
it.
said that-
I used it 2 or 3 times on the Sanctuary Keeper and wondered why he got so much brave so fast.
Yeah, you're the same as me. Yeah, and so basically you're
deal
like,
with
oh,
this guy?
Jecht doesn't suffer too much. Well, honestly, compared to any other synergy character or recent character, his DPS is suboptimal. I HP plus most of the fight with him. He was only dumping about 45k damage a turn, which is pretty trash compared to current DPS, because Cypher and or like Jack or even Ramza is dumping more damage per turn than 45k. So he was actually being suboptimal, and yet
I'd
still
argue that Snow's really solid for just keeping Jecht in check.
That's fair. That's fair, of course.
Yep.
But I'm saying like damage wise, because I do think all these fights moving forward, this one, tier 11, tier 12 and stuff, they kind of upped the DPS check in terms of wanting you to finish the fight fast and increasing the HP. They really want you to dump, because this is the time, these 2.5 months, every DPS is hitting 9999 damage. Everyone's capping their fucking damage, and especially with the boards. That's why eventually they're like, wait, enough of this. Defense is useless. We need to put in brave damage reduction. All of a sudden, you kill like 80% of the DPS that came before Alexander Chaos. But the reason they did this is because, again, every DPS should be hitting max easy with a decent support and decent team building moving forward at this point. That's why it's like, Call of Duty is impressive, sure, but literally every other DPS is hitting max too. It just depends on how many HP dumps and how many brave hits they do. And so basically, even with Snow holding you back, if you have recent characters, if you have synergy, it is a very easy clear. There's people on main cord and our Discord competing at how low they can get their turns. Tons of people throwing cheese comps at it for fun.
I think 30 is the 19. Oh wow.
19. Yeah, someone did 19 turns. There's a lot of turns in the 30s. Like
Vaan and Layle have 30 and 29 consecutively, but yeah, Sonic anime fan number 1, who I'm not familiar with, got a 19 turn clear with Lenna, Fran, and Rosa. I don't even believe that is possible.
Yeah,
I need to watch that video because I don't believe.
Sorry. Everyone in chat is pointing out. Everyone in chat's pointing it out. It is not actually 19 turns. It was 19. Oh wait, no, we don't have proof of this. I think this might be a joke. Someone's like, it's not 19 turns, it's 19 breaks. The person was just dyslexic, but yeah. Anyways, the point is, this is the theme.
Oh yeah, because their score is not 999. So
right. Yeah, so it's like this is the trend going forward. Again, I think this is good balance for a gacha. This might be a controversial statement. Basically, you pull recent characters, the fights are going to be no big deal. The power creep punishes old characters. That's the point. So you need to keep pulling. And it's fair for a gacha to encourage you to keep pulling every month or two.
You say that, but Lenna, Ace, Ferris, I have all those characters. I have, they're synergy, but you don't have to pull to get them, right?
Oh, you're right. I mean, that's very fair.
Cloud Warrior of, I'm just looking at the Called Arms. Cloud Warrior of Light RNA. So the one interesting thing. So if you look at the Called Arms right now, if you have Lenna or Selfie, I don't see a lot of Iggy runs, but obviously someone who can debuff evade, Lenna's the top choice here. Certainly helpful. If you have a tank, Galuf, Zack, Warrior of Light and Zack just got their character boards, so they're up a little bit. Snow and Galuf work here, so you can basically ignore Jecht, so that's super helpful. So, I mean, you see those two strategies a lot. Or you can just do like Belial did, like I did, like Vayne did to get, under 40 turns, and just bring your DPS. Leo, Vayne, Ultimecia, Aranea are not new characters right now. You can just power your way through this. But the interesting thing looking at the Call to Arms is seeing characters, old crappy characters with their character boards becoming useful. Our friend Harriet with Squall, Selfie, and Cypher. Now, obviously, Selfie and Cypher really help on there, but to bring Squall back and use Squall in a thing like this, Inkwelder was able to get Sabin and Selfie with Zack with his character boards, through this. There's a couple others. Cloud, Phoenix brought Cloud, Warrior of Light, and Aranea, Cloud with his character boards. So, I think as restrictive as it seems, there still seems to be a lot of options at our disposal. Right. So
you're completely right, and that's the other thing that you reminded me.
That's assuming you've been playing a while. Like if you're new, you got to pull.
Yeah. It the other reason this era is so good is because synergy is just always good now, because all the synergy, or at least the vast majority of synergy, have their EX pluses already, right? So they're already balanced for chaos. They're already balanced for this era. You have very little dead weight when it comes to synergy now. The only person that doesn't have EX plus here is Realm, and I think she's still very serviceable. Like, I'm sure if you wanted to clear with Realm, she would not hold your team back hard. But 5 of the 6 synergy have EX pluses and are good to go. Moving forward, look at all the synergy coming up for the new characters and the LCs. Almost all of them have EX pluses. This is like the perfect balance of an era where everyone is viable. Good strengths all along.
And people. I was going to say there's only one Realm clear. That's our friend Belial, Lenna, Realm, and Ferris. So, yeah.
Yeah, and chat was saying, and you brought it up. Oh, Aranea is an old character. I forgot to mention, guys. Aranea,
she's not old.
Is a time traveling god of death. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a lot of characters coming up in the next 2.5 months that are known for their damage, and it is the funniest. It is the funniest thing. It is the funniest thing because people are like, I can't wait for Cloud of Darkness. She's gonna be an OP DPS. Guys, Aranea already exists. Like, literally, you want an OP DPS, just play Aranea. She's better. Like, people are looking at JP, ignoring the fact that we got a GL exclusive that is stronger than any of these DPS and will continue after the Brave damage reduction power creep. Because, like, a lot of these do not serve. A lot of these characters like Jack and Cypher, they do not survive the Brave damage reduction creep. GRW18 was asking, I will address it. He's like, is the Brave damage reduction power creep similar to Sid's Chaos or whatever, where the robots just had flat reduced a percentage of Brave damage? Yes. Every boss moving forward at like about 80%, they're going to start invisibly just cutting your Brave damage by 20 to 30%, and then 50% near the end. Some even go to 70%. So it's just a flat, like, you're only doing 40% of your Brave damage. That kills a lot of the DPS. How do you get around this? You get around it with weaknesses or Brave damage increase or multipliers, which Aranea has one of the best of. Her debuff makes everyone crit and crit for double damage. Herself, she crits for triple damage on Brave damage multiplier. So this after weaknesses kick in, after attack buffs kick in, everything after that is multiplied by 2 or 3. Like, you're not going to creep Aranea. So if you're excited for a DPS, remember, before you're throwing gems, do you want to have fun, which is fine, but if you're a meta chaser, and I know there are a lot of meta chasers out there, you have Aranea. You do like this is none of these DPS are still gonna come close. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Final Asim's asking. So we brought up Arnea. When do you think she will be power crept? And Kreese replied,
LDBT.
LD, and so he asked, well, will Squall be that person? Yes, mostly because Squall provides significant party buffs and then gets free 6 turns free with a powerful damage. So he will probably be able to out damage her just because of the new characters he gets. But that being said, right, it would be interesting to compare Arnea to Eldnarsh, because Eldnarsh is ranged as well and does significant damage in significant turns. So it'd be interesting to compare those two. But her ability to enable the crit mechanic is still going to be. I was just thinking this week. I mean, as we're talking about her, because Black Cloud was, giving some people a hard time about this ranged resist, these ranged resist fights that are coming up. And we're going to get, we have 2 enchanters, and including, a lot of people were using Lulu to enchant Imperil, an element for Arnea to get her through range resist. Fujin blows Lulu out of the water. Everything Fujin does is 10 times better than what Lulu does. So unless it's not wind resist or wind absorb, Fujin's going to be able to help Arnea through those range resist fights if that's what you want to do. So, and Fujin is awesome. If you like Lulu but we're like, well, she's a little underwhelming. Yeah, Fujin's like that, except not underwhelming at all. But we'll talk about her there. So, Arnea is not going away. I mean, that's the reality. She's so broken.
I wanted to address one thing Eamon said in chat, to be a contrarian, but also to show you my disdain for early LDBT 4 months of garbage time. I'm going to be nice these next 2.5 months, 4 months after that, I'm going to probably fucking hate this game. But let me tell you why. He's like, well, Squall BTLD is not going to creep Arnea. Let me tell you why you're wrong, Eamon, to be a contrarian. First of all, because once LDBTs come along, chaos is already trivial. You could throw anyone at it and beat it. But the hardest content comes in the form of challenge quests. Chaos fights you can only use synergy on. And guess what? Any BT character, including Squall, is synergy for 2 straight weeks. So for 2 weeks, his stats are more than doubled. Is that stronger than a non-synergy Arnea that you can't even take to the hardest content? Yes. And is the strength of a BT, which is basically a second summon, better than any character? Pretty much. So if you want to get full rewards, BT synergy is your best bet. Yes, better than Arnea. Arnea is locked out of challenge quests moving forward for the foreseeable future. So yes, the answer when LDBT drops is everyone will ask, who is the best character to pull for? The question is, who is the 2-week synergy BT? Because you can use them on every event for 2 weeks and carry everyone and get all your rewards. Easy. But yes, I digress. Kreese, I'm sorry, we've shut you out for a while. Do you want to?
What are we talking about?
We were talking about future damage dealers and how Arnea already power creeps them.
She's so good. She's so pretty. I like her.
I have not used Arnea in an event for 2-3 months now. I only break her out if I really need to at this point.
I don't even use friend units anymore.
No,
because it's been really boring.
Oh, I still use friend Arnea because she helps, but I think for the main party.
Friend units are so last year. We don't use friend units anymore. All right, well, we will probably have a TCC challenge for this event. We don't have that solidified right now. I haven't checked our chat to see if we have it solidified. I don't believe so. Likely we will ban Synergy and some of these characters that will prevent those things like the tanks and the debuff evasion. So if you want to plan ahead, see if you can kind of go beyond that. And of course, RNA is going to be banned as well. So let's and just check the Decidia info, check Reddit, or come on our on our Twitter, on our Facebook, or on our Discord, and you can find out when the TCC challenge is up. Well, we have another Chaos fight to talk about. Like, that wasn't enough Chaos fights to talk about, and that is Dimensions End Entropy Tier 11. The Tonberry Troop did a wonderful guide for this. I think Vane Novus really does those. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. I know Ink and Talio are there. So check that out at tonberrytroop.com. Our friend Black Cloud, Black Nero on YouTube, he does a wonderful walkthrough of all of these with his experience in JP. Really always appreciate that. So, Kreese, can you walk us through that, or do you want Mino or myself to walk us through the actual fight?
Mino, are you able to run through it, or should I?
I need to pull up the breakdown, but Mark, are you more familiar with it? Because we were just discussing. So
yeah,
I'm hoping you.
I have been through it a couple times, so
I have not made it to this entropy tier. I actually, if you've been watching the Discord, have made substantial progress in entropy. I've gone from only up through tier 5 to now I'm done with tier 8. So I'm a couple tiers behind, but I'm getting there. I'll be able to try out tier 11 soon.
Yeah, let me talk about Entropy Tier 11. This is a 4-wave fight. They are resistant to magic damage. They have a lot of single target and AoE attacks. All waves do tons of debuffs. So the kind of basic strategy here is tanks and debuff evasion. Well, guess who we
magic.
Without magic. Yep. So guess who we just got? Lenna, who is a ranged debuff evader, and Snow, who is a physical tank. So there you go. The return requirement can be a little tight if you are playing very defensively like I was doing. But other than that, it's not too bad. There's a ton of duo options for this. Lightning and Snow can duo, Lightning and Lenna can duo, and we were just talking about it. There's another duo combination in there that's different, but there's a lot of different options. So let me just walk.
Jack and Snow.
Jack and Snow. One? Yeah, thank you. Jack and Snow. Went up a hill to fetch. Anyway, so let's go through each of the waves. The first wave is 2 Lunatic Beelzebubs. They resist fire. They mostly do single target attacks, but they can do AoE attacks as well. I believe they are the ones that cause Confuse, which is a pain in the butt. But if you have some healing and a tank and debuff evasion, that is not a problem. The second is the lunatic, I always forget how to pronounce this, Raphesias.
Raphlesia?
They resist earth element, and they do a lot of attacks, but they only do single target attacks, I believe. Maybe AoE brave attacks, but they also do confuse, poison, sap, HP poison, and become more powerful as they lose HP. You're going to see similar themes for all these. The third wave, probably the most dangerous, is 2 Lunatic Death Gaves, which are Fire and Holy Weak, Thunder resistant, no enrage. I used Lightning and forgot that they resisted Thunder, so that was fun. She just imperiled both of them and then was fine. They are tough because they do AoE attacks which inflict poison and max brave down. They also can remove generic buffs. So and I believe they can cleanse themselves debuffs and remove debuffs on you. Is that correct with those? And they do again more HP damage. But yep, poison, max brave down with those. But if you again have a tank like Snow really does help in this. He's really made for this. Although I think Zack can really help, especially with his character boards, is going to be helpful here. As well. And then we fight 1 Lunatic Atlas. So don't get broken. And that's pretty much all you need to do with him. He does inflict attack, max brave, and eye brave down. But again, if you can avoid getting broken, he doesn't really get to speed up and kill you with his AoE HP attacks that can kill you. Yeah, Snow and Lenna are kind of the MVPs of this fight, but you can bring Selfie, Iggy for debuff evasion, bring some good healing. There's a lot of good healing options. Ramza and Jack have been good DPS. Galif and Warrior of Light also are options here as well. Zack is not ideal. I know someone probably is screaming in chat right now. Zack is not ideal because he has magic resist. So thank you, Infamous Element. I knew some of you were going to say. And yeah, we got Cypher too. So Cypher should be able to work fine and do good DPS. So if you have one tank, one DPS, and one healer / debuff evader, you're probably going to be okay. I brought Lightning, Snow, both purple, and Lenna just realized. I think Mino did you do a dual run of Lightning and Snow?
Sorry, I did Snow, Ramza, Lenna. Ramza was overkill. I kind of regret the 3/3, but maybe he'll become useful later.
Oh yeah, you can get away with if you're using Snow, you don't have to have 3/3 Ramza, but it will make it easier if you do. But yeah, I mean,
this is the curse of planning out all my entropies from here to 19, all done.
Oh, you have to 19? I haven't gone past 15 yet. I figured who cares past 15. That's funny.
A lot of them are old characters who are getting LDBT, like Shantotto's being saved for later, Lightning's being saved for later, etc. So, and then a lot of them are just throw whoever on a third. But I don't know, 1/3 Barrett. Who cares?
It was announced in JP, and we don't talk a lot about the Japanese version of the game, but it was announced that our dimensions and entropy, their far end of dimension, that will, at least in Japan, will conclude with tier 20. And those are all chaos difficulty, and then there will be a new tower introduced at a later time. So your Lufania tower will start over at tier 1. So you can assume that 20 tiers of Dimensions End entropy is what you have to look forward to. But as many of our JP player and friends, especially Black Cloud, who we talked to a lot about Dimensions End entropy after tier 15 with LDs and BTs, this is not much of an issue. You're going to be able to figure out how to get those pretty easily. But the next few tiers, this tier, if you have a tank and you have the debuff evasion, it's not going to be tough. You're going to be able to get through it. But tier 12, 13, 14, and 15, a little bit more challenging unless you've planned out and have the kind of right characters for the job. So good luck to everybody. Kreese has almost caught up. So congratulations, Kreese.
Great, Kreese.
Got through.
Finally got off my ass and started working on it again.
Several of them.
I'm sure you're gonna be caught up in 2 weeks, Kreese. I have faith in you.
Probably now that I'm actually paying attention to it again, I'll work on it this weekend.
Yeah, and also, Mark, sorry, Little Lid in chat, Fialhu was asking if you had to choose 1 to 3/3 just for tier 11 clear, Snow or Lenna, who would you choose?
Snow.
I would say Lenna.
Oh, no,
really?
I'd say Snow 100%. Snow's going to be
so
much more
great.
useful. So
this
much
is great.
more useful.
We have differing opinions we can talk about, but I feel like the debuffs are more crippling than than taking hit, because I've seen a lot of clears without a tank. I know taking a break sucks, but Lenna, 1, batteries to prevent breaks, but also the confused debuffs and some of the other debuffs are just nasty. I would prefer to skip them, but go ahead, Mark. You were saying Snow?
Given the number of clears that were, Snow Jack, Snow Lightning, Snow DPS.
You win. All right, you're right. You're winning.
Well, and besides that, so you're going to have to play a little smarter and maybe have to RNG if you get hit with the confuse, because the debuffs aren't terrible, right? They are awful, but they're not super terrible. And Snow can tank a lot of them, and who cares if he has them? As long as your DPS is not getting the debuffs, it doesn't really matter if Snow has them, right? The reason I would say Snow over Lenna is I think Snow is going to get you a lot more mileage moving forward in content, not just if you're only doing it for one tier, I still think Snow is the better option. But
you bastard.
But I just think Lenna's kind of boring, very truthfully. I really like Snow. But yeah, I think moving forward, they're both great characters. So, I mean, it depends. Would you rather use a tank or rather use debuff evasion? And how many other tanks do you have? How many other supports do you have? But
Right.
I think Snow, you're going to have more options with Snow than Lenna. If
I
you
have a
if you have both of them, 3/3 Snow and realize Lenna and bring
fair.
them both. You're not going to
Fair.
probably get it the other way around with a 0/3 Snow and a 3/3 Lenna, maybe. Yeah, probably actually either way you could probably do it. But I think Snow works better at 3/3, and Lenna works fine at through 0/3 for avoiding debuffs, right? You have to be careful with everything else, but
I have a short rebuttal. One is I still say Lenna just for the tier, but I 100% agree with you. Snow has more mileage if you're going anywhere beyond this tier at all. Snow is way better. As Macnol is saying in chat, Snow is one of the 2 amazing tanks in this period. There are many, many other great supports coming up. Also, you'll notice there's a Snow agenda in the game here because there's a lot of anti-Zack stuff recently. Magic resist or instant breaks just to gimp Zack. It's like Square Enix is like, guys, Zack was last month's news. It's all about Snow now. Literally all about Snow. They've been pushing Snow so hard in all these fights. They've just been pushing Snow. We're talking about like Kaya and Sink and Jack. A lot of those all favor Snow. For sure. And moving forward, there's a lot of stuff that favors Snow too. You can still use
Joshua
Zack.
disagrees with you. He says it's a Decil agenda.
bring that's what we forgot to mention. Bring Purple Dark Knight Cecil.
Guys,
do his character boards. He'll solo it.
Yeah. I mean, Josh isn't wrong. Not only did Decil time travel, his boards time traveled. Think about that. Not only is Decil from like he jumped 3 or 4 months, his character boards jumped another 2 months. Like Decil boarded is pretty fucking broken right now. But yeah. So I mean, the rebuttal here is that what I just said, plus a lot of people seem to be coming just under the turn count from what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
it seems to be a pretty tight turn count, and Lenna is probably better for the DPS aspect than Snow because not only does I feel like she does more damage, but the confuse debuffs and all the other debuffs really can shave off some turns. Yeah, so that's the only reason I pushed for Lenna for turn 11. Again, that's why we have 3 co-hosts. Love to have the differing opinions. I still think Diablo boards should be 4 or 5, 6. I'm not budging on that, but 100% agree with Mark. Snow better overall.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck for all of you. And get your. Do we have a new plate yet? No, we're gonna get the new plate. We still got the PP plate, right? New Mithril plate at the next tier, so you can say goodbye to PP and hello to Mithril. So looking forward to that. Tier 12, which was also announced. And guess what? Guess who really works well on Tier 12? The next meta support that we get. Her name's Arciela. There's no voice text and there's no voice in Final Fantasy 11, so I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Let's share that a little bit. I truly believe it is Arciela. Square Enix changes a lot of names. I did research on this. It drove me nuts. Pissed me off because every other FF11 character is exactly how they sound. Shantotto, Lion, Alpha. No, not Alpha. That's FF14. Prish. Lilizette. Yeah. Oh, well, actually, that one confused. So it is a Z sound, Lilizette in Japanese, but I guess that still follows up, right? We pronounce it Lilizette anyways. No one pronounces it Lilizette. I don't know. But the point is, Arciela has the most different name in Japanese, which bugged the hell out of me. But it is Ashela or Ashera in Japanese. But it is Arciela in English. Honestly, that is good enough. Mark is right. There's no official voice. She's the only one different in FF11, but I am sticking with Arciela until voiced differently.
All right. Well, until we're told different, it's going to be Arciela. So that brings us from our current content to any host discussion. We probably got time for a few questions. Kreese, is there any questions on... We've talked about a lot of things. It's been fun. Is there any other questions from our community?
Question is now nicely relevant because we're at the final week of the gigantic co-op shop. So with the limited gigantic tokens, this question comes from Dark Demon, and he posted it about a month ago now, by the way. what are you spending your 66 Gigantuar tokens on in the shop? I'll go first. I've spent 40 of them getting all of the weapon nuggets that were in the shop, and I have not spent any of the other tokens, so I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm probably going to pull out, get the tickets, and then look at what I have left and just pick something randomly.
Yeah, it's weapon. I already got my my nuggets, my weapon nuggets, and then tickets for me.
Same thing, right? Nuggets, tickets, and then I think we're gonna have 6 left over. I don't know, some crystals or something. It's not gonna make a difference. Maybe one set of the armor. I don't know, but nuggets and tickets, right? Best value.
Five,
Maybe a bloom. I don't know. I might get a
Yeah,
bloom stone and the bloom
five
fragments.
5DPZ is asking why would I get tickets when I have so many tickets? Well, why would I get gems if there's there when I have so many gems? I don't know. Why do people like money? Because it's nice to have.
What's the average gem count nowadays? I was so sad when I opened my game up today and saw I only had 700k. Like
So-
I feel
Only
like that's only
700k.
that's only like half of what the other content creators
That's true.
have. Like Hero Cat's at like 1.5 mil, Macnol's at like 2 mil or something.
Yeah,
Mark has more than me.
I think
I'm sure.
1.5 mil for the top. So there was a post on one of the bigger Facebook, I think the biggest Facebook group, and the majority of people, there was a few people like us that had over maybe 500,000, let's say, but the vast majority of people had under 150,000, and of them, the majority of them had under 75,000. So I'm guessing, and even just looking in our chat, which generally speaking, I think the people who listen to us are probably have a little bit more saving and things, but I think the average player probably does not have much more than one or two pities worth of gems on hand, and maybe not many tickets.
I use Crease as my measurement because Crease has the most impulsive pull habits of any of us. He used to not have enough for a pity, and now
That
he's
was
at
back in the EX era.
that was
Since
like
Cosmos
3-4 months
hit,
ago,
I had
right?
enough.
Yeah.
But so now you're at, I believe, 320k,
Yeah.
right?
I am at 320k, a little over that as of this morning. The last time I was under 75k gems was the late EX era, early Cosmos era.
Right.
By the time Cosmos started, I always had a pity's worth of gems, unless
Yeah.
I had really bad luck and I missed a couple of gem pulls in a row.
Yeah, and see, like, I use Crease as my measure of gem count, and it feels like he and all the we talked about this a bunch, but like EX Plus era, because of the ingot system, less people were inclined to spend.
Yeah.
Crease loved pulling, but he started to realize why pull when I don't have the ingots for stuff. By the way, the ingot shortage is starting to come to an end.
It is.
They're throwing a lot of extra ingots at us. I talked to a lot of JP players. Even my favorite source, Black Cloud, is saying like from this point on, they could do 4 purples a month easy, sometimes more, because there's just so many more events coming that are just throwing ingots. We got the enhancement boards that were extra. That's a book and an ingot. We've got the entropy awards. That's another 4 books,
Mission
4
dungeon.
ingots, mission dungeon. Like from here on out, they're much more free to give out ingots, so it feels a lot better. You are free to purple like 4 weapons a month. It feels good. So the drought is coming to an end. But the point is, the drought was real, and everyone I know, from the most casual and impulsive player, except for the lost causes, started hoarding gems much more. And the people that I knew who barely saved a pity at all times, like Kreese and Hitmonchan, they now have several 100,000 saved up. So like, I feel like that really speaks to the error of the EX Plus era, but also I think they go hard in the other direction with the LDBT era, where pulls are king. Pulls are king over ingots and limited resources. So let's see how things pan out then.
Well, the people who are live with us, and there's a good number of folks live with us, they're all over the place in terms of, under 75 to over. I know there's a couple people in chat who have over 1 million. They did not share that, but I would just know some people who have that. You know, I just broke 750, so I'm at 10 pities, right? But yeah, and tickets is a whole different thing, right? But I think I'm sitting at 1,300 at the moment. Tickets, because I've blown some tickets on things and haven't gotten anything.
Oh, 5DPZ has been declaring for a long time. Said it again in chat. I will pity every BT weapon. Let's see how far I can get. 5DPZ, I am actually looking forward to that. If you do another diary series of all your BT pities and your experience, I would love it. I know popular streamer Broadway Saiyan has every single weapon in the game. He has every BT, every LD. He never missed a single one. And his experience going through JP has been a world's difference from other people. Some people struggle, but the LDBT bias is real. If you have every single BT and LD and you have the 2-week synergy nonstop from when they launched to now in JP, the difficulty difference in content is like, holy shit. Like, it is a world's difference. So 5DPC, I look forward to your diary.
Yeah. Yep, that will be fun. Yeah, hey, why not? You know, I'm not planning on pitying every burst, just one. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah. It will make things easy. So, hey, Chris, is there any other questions?
There's a bunch of questions, but we'll just cover this one quickly because I think it's worth touching on tonight rather than leaving it for another week.
Yeah.
Speedy asks, if you're low on ingots and you can only choose between 2 tanks to fully realize and your choices are Galuf and Snow, who would you choose? I would personally choose Snow because I think Snow's a better character all around as a tank. He self-heals himself. He just ignores brave damage, and he deals a decent amount of damage. Galuf does have some quirks with him. He only has 100% evade on physical, so magic is a little iffier. He can't counterattack magic attacks, so he's a lot more conditional in that way. Mark, Mino?
Yeah,
Chat is saying... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Galuf's super fun, and I kind of wish I had pulled on his EX because he's super fun, but he's only really good in the situations he's really good at. He actually can get away with being in content like magic content, magic damage content, and still be useful, but Snow is overall just the best tank we have right now. So, I mean, I think I would go with Snow as well.
As Speedy in chat has already said, whoops. I mean, well, he already said, LOL, I already 3-3'd Snow by the time we were reading this question. And chat unanimously says Snow. Everyone says Snow. It's not a
except for
question.
Masalento says Galuf.
Okay. Masalento says
Galuf. Oh, really?
but Galuf, Galuf is good at 0 out of 3. Actually, I have Galuf with just his 15 and 35, and he actually can... I have him in Dimensions End with just his 35 because he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, Speedy says his question was posted last week. Sorry, Speedy. Sometimes we delay the questions. We don't always have time to get to all of them.
Yes,
but
or if they come out during podcast recording, we might miss them.
If you have questions that are of the immediate nature, like who should I, what kind of art should I get? You can just tag us in Discord. You know, the podcast questions are really more for things that we can discuss and maybe not time sensitive, right? So feel free to ping us, ping me. You know, I won't speak for Chris and Mino, but ping me in Discord, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Not me.
Yeah,
not me. I will ban you if you ping. But also, I just want to take this opportunity to say, this is why every time we talked about characters like Celis and Galuf, we say niche and we say situational. I've gotten complaints saying, how can you say Celis is niche? Look at all the content I did. Well, it's because she does one thing really well, but then when you have an Omni tank like Snow, he does everything 80% better other than the one niche. So honestly, this is why you always have to decide, do I really like this niche? Galuf and Celis will probably almost always lean into that. For the 2.5 years, 3 years in Japan that DFFOO has been running, they have one big specialization, and they're great for that. But the question is, do you care about that, or do you want a big fat tank like Snow and Warrior of Light and Gladio, who will be able to literally tank all damage at 80% rather than one at 100% and then the rest at like 20%?
I'm hard pulling on Gladio. All right, so we're gonna hold off on other questions for future, but you can make sure you can ask your questions and podcast questions. And again, if you have something time sensitive, feel free to ping us, ping me at least, and we'll be at. So looking ahead, we have Prompto's LC here at the end of the month, on the road again with Freya's rework and EX weapon. We have our daily token foray coming on the 1st of the month, Arciela on the 4th, the mission dungeons on the 9th. So next week we're going to talk about Prompto LC, and the Arciela event will go live as we meet next Thursday, I believe. Dimensions End Entropy Tier 12 is on the 14th as well as Alpha Nods LC, Walk This Way with Ida's, is Black Cloud still on? Ida's EX Plus realization, which I'm excited about. I'm going to purple Ida. I just got to keep showing her love. She's done me well over these many years of Devo. So, and then there's a mystery event with an armpit smelling Selkie named Kais. He's a Selkie, right? He's from that tribe? Anyway.
Yeah. He's not a yucky. The other
He's
one.
not a yucky. He's a Selkie.
Which Crystal Chronicles game is he from?
Crystal Bears.
Layle's.
Yeah, he's from Layle's game. He's one of the Crystal Bears. So Layle, Metatilian, and Kais are they are all from the Crystal Bears. They're all people. Thank you.
It works super well together.
Oh, they do.
This is the one example of all characters coming from one game working really well together.
That's actually a pretty mean team.
Yeah, it's Layle, battery and launch specialist, Kais, who enables launches and batteries even more and does more damage on launch, and Metatilian, who erases turns to set up better launches. Like, they're so good together.
As long as you don't need healing, you'll be fine. And with that team, you probably don't need healing. So, all right. Well, there's a ton of stuff to talk about. So, I want to give some shout outs before we go. Of course, you can connect with us on tccpodcast.com. If you only caught part of the show, it's going to be video on demand. I'm going to put it on YouTube and stream it out onto our favorite podcast apps. If you are on iTunes, give us a like and a rating there. If you are on YouTube, go to YouTube and give us a sub and a like on YouTube. And of course, we appreciate your subscriptions here on Twitch. That's the primary way you can support us. Check out our friends, the Tomberry Troop at tomberrytroop.com. That's Inkwelder, Dreamy, Teleute, and Vane Novus. Macnol's website, Macnol Call to Arms, is decidiainfo.com. Thank you to my co-hosts, Grease and Mino, for being with me every week. And then our mod team, Arolai, who is Layle on YouTube, Inkwelder, J.A, Jin Lee, Macnol, Quetz, Serah, and Strafe, and Black Cloud, Dreamy, and Hey13 for helping out with the info and or the intro, and Jin Lee with the backgrounds. And then we always like to shout out our founder, Pierre. So, hey, this has been episode 104 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this May 28, 2020. Until next Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time here, live, or tomorrow, Friday later. This is Mark, Mino, and Crease. The best of luck to all of you going forward, and goodbye.